Frazer Clarke versus Ariel Esteban Bracamonte. Now, Frazer Clarke is a guy who, recently turned pro after competing in the Olympics, was amateur a long time, sparring partner of Joe Joyce, Anthony Joshua, so on and so forth. But after turning pro, I haven't been sure what to make of him in terms of how far I think he can go. He's 30 years old already, so he doesn't have time on his side. And he didn't reach the heights of Anthony Joshua and Joe Joyce in the amateurs. Now, stylistically, he looks fairly rudimentary. His hands are, I guess, relatively fast for a guy of his size. I believe he's about 6'6", and he's not the most svelte guy in the world. He's quite a heavy-set fighter. He doesn't move his upper body that much. The foot movement is, it's like when Joe Joyce first turned pro. Yeah, you could see the hands were slow, but you could also see that the feet were very fast when he fought Ian Lewison in his first pro fight. Moving all over the place, very fleet of foot, and a pure athlete. With Frazer Clarke, again, not as athletic as Joe Joyce, doesn't appear, from what I've seen so far, to have that kind of foot speed, but certainly has superior hand speed over Joyce. And bear in mind, Bracamonte is a guy who went the distance with Jarrell Miller in his last fight before facing Frazer Clarke. So for Clarke to be able to get him out of there in, 2 rounds, the way that he did, that's a good result. Considering, again, this guy just went the distance with Jarrell Miller. He also went several rounds with Dave Allen several years ago, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I thought it was a nice result for Frazer Clarke. Good left hook to end the fight. I do think that these British referees, in many instances, are far too quick to stop these fights. When you take into account how tough Bracamonte has proven himself to be in the past, he gets dropped once and the referee jumps in and stops it when he gets up. And I know it's a tough job being a referee. You got to make these judgment calls and whatever. But he didn't look out of it to me. He looked like a guy who could have continued. I'm not saying he would have won the fight, but I just think there's this unfortunate habit of British referees stopping fights at the earliest possible opportunity, particularly when they have a house fighter, a prospect like Frazer Clarke, who is supposed to win. Do you know what I mean? This is not supposed to be a 50-50. This is supposed to be a fight where Clarke wins and marches on. And so he was probably going to do that anyway, regardless of whether they let the fight continue. But in heavyweight boxing, you never know. Countless times I've seen fighters get dropped just the way Bracamonte was dropped and end up winning a fight down the line in the next round or 2-3 rounds later. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that.